Iran and the United States are set to hold high-stakes peace talks in Islamabad on Saturday. But deep divisions, mutual distrust and several sticking points remain. The Iranian delegation, which is led by Parliamentary Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, arrived first in Pakistan's capital under heavy security. According to Iranian media, speaking on arrival, Ghalibaf said that Iran comes with good intentions, but warned that past negotiations with the US have been marked by failure and broken promises. Before arriving in Pakistan, Ghalibaf had posted that talks would not start until unblocking of Iranian assets and a ceasefire in Lebanon. In a strong message to US and the world, the Iranian delegation arrived in a flight which was dubbed Minab 168. Iran says the name honors the 168 people, mostly children, who were killed in an alleged US strike at the girls' elementary school during the war. On the American side, Vice President J.D. Vance is leading the delegation, joined by senior figures including Jared Kushner and envoy Steve Witkoff. Ahead of the talks, Vance said that Washington is open to dialogue, but at the same time cautioned that any attempt by Iran to play the United States would be met with a firm response. Listen to this.
I think it's going to be positive. We'll, of course, see. As the President of the United States said, if the Iranians are willing to negotiate in good faith, we're certainly willing to extend the open hand. If they're going to try to play us, then they're going to find that the negotiating team is not that receptive.
Now, key disagreements persist. Iran is demanding a ceasefire in Lebanon and the unfreezing of its financial assets. Conditions that have not yet been met. Strait of Hormuz remains another sticking point. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has called for the reopening of the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz, a route that carries roughly 20% of the world's oil supply. The waterway remains partially restricted, with Trump vowing that it will reopen with or without Iran's cooperation. Trump also emphasized that preventing Iran from developing nuclear weapons is the top priority of the talks.
No nuclear weapon, number one. You know, I think it's already been regime change, but we never had that as a criteria. No nuclear weapon. That's 99% of it.
Strait of Hormuz as well?
Yeah, but that'll open up automatically. The answer is yes, but the strait will open up. If we just left, the strait's going to, otherwise they make no money. So the strait's going to open. But what we have is no nuclear weapon, but we'll open the strait anyway. Don't forget, we don't use the strait. Other countries use the strait. So we do have other countries coming up, and they'll help out, but we don't use it. It won't be easy. It won't be. I would say this: we will have that open fairly soon.
Hostilities continue in Lebanon. Israeli strikes against Hezbollah targets have persisted, and this despite Iran's calls for a halt. Israel maintains that its operations are not covered under the current US-Iran ceasefire. Lebanon has reported heavy casualties, with nearly 2,000 people killed in recent strikes. It says Israeli strikes killed more than 350 people on Wednesday alone, the first full day of the US-Iran ceasefire. Now, Lebanon State Security Agency, it said that one Israeli strike in the city of Nabatea killed 13 of its personnel. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif described the upcoming talks as a critical moment, calling them a make-or-break stage. Now, security in Islamabad has been tightened significantly, especially around the Serena Hotel, where the talks are expected to take place. And to discuss more on the upcoming US-Iran peace talks in Pakistan, we were earlier joined by Colonel David B. Roche from California. He's a professor of the Air Marshal Institute and former Deputy Director for Peacekeeping in the Office of the Secretary of Defense. And this is what he had to say. Listen in.
Not very. I think we'll have what diplomats call a frank exchange of views. The positions going into the two sides are incompatible. They're not really negotiating positions. They're competing visions of how the other side will capitulate. I think there's also just some practical issues. The most recent reports are that Iran did not chart where its naval mines are, or just put out free-floating naval mines, which means in the Strait of Hormuz, which means that even if Iran agrees to remove them, they don't know where they are. So, which is of course a war crime. But so the possibilities of each side getting what they want seems to be remote. The linking of Lebanese Hezbollah to Iran's demands kind of puts the lie to 40 years of Iranian statements saying that this was simply a domestic Lebanese phenomena that they just supported as an issue of solidarity. Basically shows them to be an annex of Iranian foreign policy. So there's a lot of difficult issues here, and I don't think they'll be resolved at any time soon.